Cloud Gaming. In today's video I wanted to do something a little different, and this is a game review for the South Park's new game, The Fractured But Whole. What I wanted to do is break down the game into a few different elements, as far as graphics, sound, control, gameplay, story, length, overall difficulty, is it replayable, original, and is it worth your money? So what I want to start off with is graphics. So graphically the game, it looks exactly like an episode, so it looks great and it feels great. As far as sound and music, they nail it on all the different music they play, as well as all the audio sound. The voices are great. The action, when you hit something, it sounds right. So they nailed the sound exactly where it should be. As far as controls, they're pretty simplistic. I guess you could have done this with the Super Nintendo control for the limited number of buttons that you need to actually do stuff with. But for the overall, it's just a simplified controls that work, and they do exactly what you want them to do. Gameplay, the first half of the game is very easy and simple to utilize the different mechanics. As the game gets a little bit later on, I felt like the gameplay is way more enjoyable, as well as the same thing with the story. So in the beginning, the story starts off pretty slow, and then it gets into a lot of scenes that are just story driven. The length of the show, the actual story is probably the length of like 2 movies if South Park put movies together. This is kind of the length of what they would be. You get the storylines of about 2 different stories. Lengthwise, it took about 10-12 hours to complete, and that's with doing side missions and then the main missions. I wasn't a true completionist. I didn't get everything done, but for the most part, I was able to get a lot of the chunk of everything done. I fought every boss that you could fight within the side missions as well as the story missions, so I had a good idea of kind of what the difficulty was. Difficulty wise, as far as battling, I felt like the first half, like I said, was very easy. The puzzles were very easy, but as you get into the second half, puzzles are a little bit more challenging. Even though it gives you the hints, they're a little bit more challenging to figure out. And then the battles are a little bit more mechanic driven, where you have to do certain things to make sure that you can win the combat. Replayability, I don't think it has high replayability. I think once you beat the game, you're not going to be inspired to go through a second character. Because when you go through as one character, as you get farther along and progress through the story, you're able to get pretty much every attack that you want. So you can just mix and match the attacks that you'd like. So you're not necessarily stuck with your initial decision. So that helps with that, but kind of ruins replayability. Originality, I think it's an interesting story, interesting concept, and a good take on RPG. Not quite as good as some of the RPGs I've played in the past, but it's definitely funny to enjoy the game with all the different dialogue. But overall, Originality, I thought it landed in a good spot. So here's where it comes to the important part. Should you buy the game? I think value-wise, you pay $60-65 for the game. You should get a decent amount of playtime. So if you do that, divided by the 12 hours I played, approximately $5 an hour. So at the end of the day, do you think it's worth it, $5 an hour? That's going to be up to you. But for the most part, I would say that you should wait till it drops in price, because you're not really missing anything if you don't get it right away. And if you get it in a couple months when it's maybe $35, you're going to get twice the value. So that's pretty much it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'd like to know your thoughts in the comments section. If you did enjoy the video in any way, go ahead and click that like button. And go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you, and as always, have a great day.